So, um, what's it like on the Bay Area?
Completely different. Um, because of the high population density of pets, the fleas mutate much more quickly, and things like Frontline and Advantage pretty much stopped being effective good 10 years ago, which you may remember. So, like at the animal house, we really have the only things we can sell to prevent fleas are really just things that deter them, cedar oils, peppermint oils, things like that. Cedar being the most effective because it actually kills fleas that it comes in contact with, but it's not like something that's in the put into the blood system that kills every flea that bites the animal. We're actually able to sell Cheristin over the counter, which is super effective for cats, but not approved for dogs. So, yeah, in the Bay Area, pretty much have to go to a vet and get a prescription for, you know, uh, a Comfortis or Simparica. Um, I tend to prefer Simparica for a number of reasons, but both are effective. And things like Revolution probably still are, but a little dicier to use, a little bit more dangerous.
Can you see the
That's me.
screen, Cliff?
Yeah.
Uh, this is what I was
Oh,
using
yeah.
in Hudson. Do you
Yeah.
have an opinion on this stuff?
I have never used it personally, so I really don't have a valuable opinion. I could be RFK and tell you that it causes autism. No, I'm joking. Um, no, but I haven't used it personally. So
The reason I bought this is because these are the same people that make Capstar, and
right,
Capstar is really effective. Um,
right.
so this stuff is this stuff is 39. I think right now this year it's $39 for three treatments. It's a lot less expensive than other stuff.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
used it. We'd have like 15 or 20 or more dogs in Hudson, and we were using it. We were dividing, getting it for the big dogs, and then
Of
breaking it
course.
out with a syringe. And
Right.
we didn't have a flea problem. So I don't know if this stuff is bad for you in any way. I saw some flea meds at the dollar store, and I thought, oh boy. And then I looked at the ingredient. They shouldn't even be selling that stuff. It was pretty toxic. Um, but but I can recommend Nextar for people. I really
Yeah.
can. I'll show you the box again. Doo, 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 doo.
Oh, what a pretty box.
Well,
Yeah,
it does the job.
it may be as effective as Comfortis and Simparica. I've just never had any option to try it.
Yeah.
So I do know that a lot of those Nexstar, Capstar can be have a few more warnings with them, but it's as you well know, it's dog by dog. Some dogs just can't handle any of these
Yeah.
chemicals.
Yeah.
I've
This,
had new I've had numerous dogs that I couldn't give anything to, had severe reactions to.
what kind of reactions?
Uh,
Neurological?
near death, life threatening.
That's pretty.
Yeah, pretty much would go into a state of shock. So
Wow.
it's always a little dicey to try any flea preventative, any toxic flea preventative, like the ones we're talking about, at least the first time. A lot of times they're just the other damage is skin burn um, from where you put the drops on. So, you know, just depends.
Um, I had a question and then I forgot. What are you guys using, Linda and Chris and Arati? What are you using on your dogs for fleas?
Emma has IBD, so I stopped using anything because I think it was making her IBD worse. She was having
Ah,
a lot of flare-ups
yeah.
when she hit 8 years old. She's 10 now, And I just had to stop. I had to change vets because her one vet was not addressing her IBD where it was where the symptoms were being less frequent. And even though I saw 3 vets at that clinic, they all just kept prescribing metronidazole, and it was just making her sick. It wasn't helping her, except for a few days, and then she was getting her symptoms back. So I had to change vets, and the vet right away prescribed, even though she's on prescription food and prednisone, the vet prescribed B12 every day to help with her digestion, and also Tylosin to help with the diarrhea. She was supposed to take the Tylosin every day, but it's really bitter tasting. So it's really a struggle. But when she does get a flare up, I give her the Tylosin in 2 doses, 24 hours apart, and that does clear up the diarrhea. But back to the question, no, I stopped the flea and tick for her about a year ago. And I just, I don't take her, we just walk in the city. We're not going, she's not a dog that plays with other dogs. So, yeah, I just stopped. I had my other dog, Blueberries, who I got in December. I have trifexis, and I started giving him that because I had from Emma, and it hadn't expired, but I think that was giving him diarrhea. So, I'll try it again soon, but I just, and I feel vets are not, are not that receptive a lot. So anyway, that didn't really answer the questions, but yeah, so I mean, he doesn't really play with dogs either because I've had to train him. He's had a lot of issues because is from the Central Valley, and he just every time he sees a dog or a person, he's gotten a lot better. But initially, oh my God, acrobatics, deluxe every time he saw a dog or person. He still goes crazy when he sees bicycles or large trucks. But yeah, I had a lot of experience training with Emma because she had a lot of reactivity after I adopted her. It took almost a year to get her out of that reactive behavior. But yeah, I'm totally off topic, so I apologize for that. I don't know. Did they cut me off? I don't know.
Chris, what would you do about a dog that chases bicycles?
Tries to.
Okay, I'm on my phone because my laptop is heavy. Chases bicycles. Yeah, I guess I'd just have lots of treats and do the desensitizing from a distance. Walk around my neighborhood. I don't think I've had that happen in a very long time, or a dog be reactive to a bicyclist in a very long time. So I'd have to probably go back to basics with that.
How's your little Frenchy baby girl doing?
She's all right. She's still having the occasional accident. It's frustrating. Yeah, but otherwise she's doing great.
Good.
Are you fostering her, Chris, or did you adopt her?
Oh, she's getting spayed on Thursday, so it'll
She
be
adopted.
official.
Yeah.
Yeah, foster to adopt.
Oh, yeah, great. I mean, she's adorable, and
She
apparently
is.
you went by the animal house, and Megan fell in love too. So,
Oh, look at her.
Yeah, I'm sorry we missed you that day. I don't know if you can see them.
We can see them. Both of them, yeah. Yeah. What are
There
you
they are.
using for fleas?
Simparica. I remember 2014, I think, was the worst year. Everyone I talked with, the fleas were just horrible. Two dog sitting client dogs went home with fleas, which was very embarrassing. I tried so many products, and at Pet Food Express, they said that many customers were coming in saying that it was a huge, big problem. And I think Advantage 2 was at the time one of the stronger products. And what I read was to put the tube in 3 or 4 dots down the dog's spine, and then it was only effective for maybe 2 or 3 weeks at that time instead of a month.
Right.
So I've moved to the ingestibles. I'm sorry, Cliff?
I was going to say that's what I remember. And the only thing about Advantage that was positive was that you could reuse it within a month, whereas others you couldn't. But yeah, it just became less and less effective.
And that's
we tossed out most of our stock of it a few years ago.
Oh wow!
It just sat there. People would request it, and we would refuse to sell it to them because it wasn't going to work.
I remember you used to sell the single, the one tube at a time. I did like that it was non-toxic for cats if you had a shared household, which I did.
Yep.
And I was just a little nervous about the ingestibles because I thought, how does that work? The dog eats a pill, and then their blood is poisonous to pets and to ticks and fleas, and that seemed a little skeevy to me. But we had to transition to that. And that has been working. I have had no flea problems since then. And even though I sometimes forget, I often forget, or I use slightly expired stuff. And I think the Simparica also guards against heartworm, which is great. So it's like 4 things in one.
Yeah, it does now. Yeah.
Yeah. Better because it's so expensive.
I remember we getting the Simparica and we would cut those pills. We'd get the pills prescribed for a big dog and then cut them up and treat a bunch. But Dave told me that this was years ago, but he said that the Simparica is not equally distributed through the pill and that what we were doing, at least at that time, might not have been effective. But I want to mention cedar side, and as I think about it, Cliff, what you said really comes up for me that it could well be a problem of density. Um, I'm in Buffalo right now. I don't see any fleas, and Hudson, fleas were a really big problem. We used cedar side. I got the stuff that you could spray onto the lawns, and it was so effective. And I remember like maybe 12 or 15 years ago that Animal House was selling cedar side in those it was like a slender can that was about 8 inches tall, and you could spray it on the dog. Do you remember those?
Oh yeah, we don't get those anymore. All we have but there are a couple of other companies that make a cedar spray. So same stuff, different brand. Yeah,
Is there a
and I mean
company
we
you
still
like?
have like gallons of the cedar side left over. So
Hope it's still good. And Cedar Side has a great webpage. They make products to spray on dogs, on people, and on lawns, and they're all different formulas.
yeah, different dilutions. Yeah.
So, Chris, that could be helpful in your backyard if you were having a problem. Any questions? All right.
No, I'm probably gonna have to sign off here. But
Any questions for Cliff? What kind of donuts do you
no
like?
embarrassing questions, please. Yeah.
I'm so glad you popped in. It's really good to hear.
Yes, thank you
Good
for
to
joining.
hear everybody. Sorry, we don't get to see each other.
It's okay. We'll hopefully get to see you in the future. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, of course.
Thanks,
I will
Cliff.
see you
Aloha.
guys. Mahalo.
Hey, we got a Frenchie that, oh, he's gone, darn it.
Well, I'll jump in though, and I'll say that I also use Erica Trio for my dog. And I think that if I'm remembering correctly, it was probably by recommendation of Mission Pet Hospital, which is the vet's office that I take my dog to, and is also the vet's office that Wonder Dog works with. So if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area region, then you are also probably familiar with them. And I think it was on their recommendation. And I do the ingestibles. I put them in those little pill pockets, the little
Mhm.
peanut butter pill pockets, and that's how I get my dog to eat them. And he doesn't even know, which is great. So, because he is notoriously kind of picky, so I'm glad he likes that flavor. And then the other thing I will say, my other hot tip is that I actually get them at Costco because it is the price for a 6 month, and I have a small dog, so it might vary based on size, but the price for a 6 month um like supply of the Simparica Trio from the Costco pharmacy pretty much pays for, like, the membership pays for itself if you're getting that, like, you know what I mean, like it ends up being worth it. So it's actually a really nice way to get it done because it is cheaper than like getting it at Chewy or getting it at other places. So that's been our hack recently that I would recommend for because it can be expensive, but that's a nice way to, if you especially if you already have a Costco membership, that's a really nice way to do it because it is definitely more affordable. So I wanted to make sure to say that.
Is it less expensive than Chewy
Yeah, it's definitely
as
less expensive.
well? Okay. Okay.
And it's really easy. They have their pharmacy, and the same way that you would pick up your own prescriptions at the pharmacy, you can pick up your dog's prescriptions, and you just have your vet call them in. So Mission Pet will call Costco, and I'll call Mission Pet. I'll say, "Hey, I need to refill my prescription for my dog, for Louie," and they'll call Costco, and it's ready like super quickly, and it's great.
But you know what? One of the, yes, I'm not muted. One of the issues that I have is that I think they'll only prescribe flea meds for a year and then you have to go back for a recheck. It's $100 to walk through the door. So, um, it's just, with the rescue, every time a dog comes in, if we're having to do that now before neutering, but it's just prohibitively expensive, which is why I like Nexstar. This is what I had to use with Wally, who's not in here. Um, and interestingly, this was prescribed to him for the mange, for the Demodex. And this pill is good for 3 months. Um, Came from Mission Pet. But with the Demodex, he was having to take it every month so that it was strong enough to work. But and now we're on every 2 months, and that's the last. And then I think I'll switch him over, or I'll give him one of these and let it be good for 3 months. Yeah, yeah. Any questions about anything? Oh my gosh, look at the time.
Has anybody ever had a dog with IBD, irritable bowel disease?
I don't know because if we get a rescue dog in and it's got, if a dog comes in and it's got diarrhea, the the first thing we're going to do is put it on a bland diet and then give it Flagyl because Giardia is a lot more common than IVD. Um, what did you say the vet prescribed again? And who's your vet, by the way, Linda?
Now, I took her, initially it was Aguelo Pet Hospital. She
Mhm.
saw 3 different vets there, and they all prescribed metronidazole. But after close to a year of her flare-ups continuing off and on, I took her to San Francisco Pet Hospital, Dr.
Yeah,
Villard, who
yeah.
used to be at SPCA emergency room, and he prescribed the
Oh, the place
B12.
on Fillmore, right. Mhm.
No, he's on. Yeah, he was on Fillmore. He's on Fulton Street, right past Alamo Square Park. I think it's
Okay.
San Francisco Pet Hospital.
Oh,
Anyway,
oh,
it,
Bobby. That's Bobby's hospital, I think. Cliff knows
oh,
really well.
so
Yeah.
so yeah, so Phil Villard works there now, and he prescribed B12 every day to help with her digestion, as well as Tylosin for the diarrhea. And the Tylosin does work. It's very bitter tasting. They wanted to give me a syringe initially, a powder, and I know Emma would not not tolerate that whatsoever to have a syringe put in her mouth. So It's easier to give her the pill, but I have to hold her mouth shut literally because I can't give her, she's on prescription food and any little thing will throw her system out of whack. Um, so I just have to, I'm thinking of putting some honey on it. I'm on a Facebook IBD page group, and they recommended putting honey around the medicine. So I might try that, but I don't give it to her every day. I give it to her because she's just, difficult with that. When she does have a flare up, and it alleviates the flare up within 2 days. And right now she also, since she was 3, she takes prednisone every day, which diminishes the immune system, and she's on plan Purina hydrolyzed food, which is also prescription. So, and again, she's been on that since she was 3. She was pretty stable until she was like 8. She's 10 now, almost 10. And I think when she hit 8, I think her age as well as the ongoing prednisone, I think, working against the immune system, I think that's why her frequent flare-ups started. So anyway, yeah, so that's what she's on now. Prednisone, hydrolyzed food, and the tylosin when it's as a rescue remedy. So yeah, so that's, it's a pretty insidious disease.
This might sound crazy, but can she take fish oil? Or would that make it worse?
I would have to look into that. Initially, before she was diagnosed, I was doing the chicken and white rice and stuff like that. But I took her to VCA on South Van Ness. They're no longer there, and they
Oh,
I forget the vet's name. She was very good. They gave her an ultrasound. They initially thought it was cancer at 3 years old. They thought she had lymphoma. So, which was pretty, I didn't even want to hear that till they gave her the test. They had to check her blood every hour on the hour. So she was there from like 8 to 5. The blood test showed that her B12 levels were very, very low. And for like 4 or 5 months, she needed B12 injections every week. And then the vet said, had I brought her in, she would have died within a few months because she was not getting, even though she was eating and she was not lethargic, we were walking a lot, but she was getting no nutritional value because her system was not accepting it. It's inflammation of the intestines is the irritable bowel disease. So the ultrasound showed the inflammation, and initially she was having to take prednisone like 3 or 4 times a day, and then gradually it got weaned down to every day.
Yeah.
But it was a scary situation because when the vet said, she said the vet tech even started crying when she told her that Emma would have died in a few months, based upon what she was going through. And there were no signs other than the vomiting and diarrhea because she had a lot of energy. She was sleeping, she was eating, she was walking a lot. It was just, she was not getting any nutrients, even though she was eating. So anyway, so it's a scary disease. It's a scary disease. And and she's 13 or 14 pounds. She had lost 4 pounds. That's what I knew to take her to the vet. That's what I said. Something's wrong. She's eating and she's losing 4 pounds. It doesn't make sense, So anyway, that's IBD. From what I've read on the Facebook page, she's relatively moderate compared to some of those dogs. They're on like 6, 7 medications a day. It's really crazy. But so that's an IB dog is a scary dog because there have been nights I've been up with her all night and she's pooping and vomiting like every half hour. And it's until she got that Tylosin, which has helped her immensely. It's a really scary disease. It's really scary because there's no rhyme or reason. And yeah, and I know I was recommended to go to a internal medicine specialist by Dr. Villard.
Uh-huh.
And I thought about it, and her flare-ups were getting less frequent. And I just said, they're going to want to do all kinds of tests. Um, Not that I don't love her and want to take very good care of her. I know I have, but they're gonna, a lot of times these tests are not conclusive, and it's just test after test, and it just the dollars just go up, and I don't have those kind of resources. And when I was taking her to Arguello that one year she was having the flare-ups, I was throwing money out the window because they were not addressing the issues. They just kept metronizing. That wasn't solving the issue. I saw 3 different vets there, and they all said the same thing. And so, yeah, just I could have gone to internal medicine specialist with all the money I spent on them and nothing being resolved. So anyway,
And,
I
and
get caught up.
I I am when I'm listening to you, the things that come to mind for me are that it makes me wonder if you've ever considered letting her be seen by a veterinary acupuncturist or an herbalist. Because I know that there are herbs. Prednisone's so bad. It's just it's a lifesaver for some dogs, but it's really hard on the immune system. It
On
really
a low dose. I mean, she is on a low dose. So,
well,
but yeah, I have thought of
but turmeric has very strong anti-inflammatory properties. It's a spice that you see a lot in, and people are using it. And there's a group. I know there's a Facebook group, and they call it. I think they call it red paste. Arati, does that sound at all familiar? Because I think people use it as well. Chris, is that resonating at all? Chris looks like he's fallen asleep.
red.
Um, that would come to me. And the other thing that comes to me is that you have a recorded history of having treated the dog and what meds she's been on. And I don't really know how many tests an internal med specialist would have to take because you've already done the tests, you know?
Yeah. From what I've read on the Facebook page for IBD dogs, there's like endoscopy. There's like tons of tests, but I think it depends on the dog's symptoms. Basically, like a lot of IBD dogs don't eat. I mean, Emma would eat 24/7. And the prednisone
Yeah.
makes her hungrier as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna maybe look into the herbal. Do you have any recommendations in the
I can look it up, but I don't remember. I
in
know
San
there's a
Francisco?
really good homeopathic vet over in the East Bay.
I don't
Chris,
have a
do you know
car,
any? Okay, Chris, do
so
you know any of those? I'll bet the place on Fillmore Street would have an acupuncturist. I will look it up, okay? Um, and and send you a note about that.
try to Google as well. And I know someone I know had told me a while ago that I think their dog is like 17, that she was going to an acupuncturist for the dog. But I
Yeah,
think it was out in the Sunset. Maybe I'll have to Google and see what I can locate and
yeah,
find out. But yeah,
yeah.
no, I know. I get acupuncture for myself, so I know it is helpful.
Well, the other thing about an internal med specialist is that they know a lot more about all the newest meds and whatever tests have been done on dogs with the meds. And regular vets know some of that, but they don't know. They know to give you Flagyl. Um, so it could be it could be worth having a consultation. It might give you some peace of mind. But if I had to limited funds and I had to decide, I'd go for the acupuncture.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm thinking of the herbalist too. I mean,
Yeah,
that sounds like a good option.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, Chris? Do you have any words of wisdom?
No, sorry. And I've never had a dog with IBD, so
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with these tests or the turmeric or the acupuncture.
They,
But
they scope them. That's probably one of the expensive tests. They'll anesthetize them and then put a little camera thing down their
uh,
throats.
that does
Oh,
sound involved and expensive.
you know what else I want to tell you, Linda? I don't know if your vet gave you probiotics. Um, But that's important. And the one that's commonly given is Purina's Fortiflora and comes in these little packets and it's horribly expensive. But I remember going to Rainbow Foods and they had a wonderful probiotic in their refrigerated section. And it was much, much better than the powder. And I'm seeing that for myself because I've been having digestive problems. I started taking probiotics and they helped a little bit. But then when I went and got, like the one I used to buy at Scarlet Sage, the, 80 billion whatever's, as soon as I started to take that, I felt so different. And my digestive tract felt better. I didn't have as much pain or problems. So,
What about Proviable? Because at one point I was giving Emma Proviable. They have a clay and then they also have a capsule.
I don't know what that is.
It's a probiotic. Proviable, Proviable.
And something you could buy at a pet store?
Well, I got it online, but I don't know if you can get it in a pet store. I know you can get it online. I think I got it from Chewy. I probably got it from Chewy because that's where I get her food from and her medicine.
Yeah, I don't
But
have.
yeah, for the floor. I think I remember hearing that on the IBD group page for IBD dogs.
What's that? I got my phone here, so I'm looking up things as we're talking. Um, and look up, do a little research on the red paste, the turmeric. And I know there's a Facebook group for that. Liquid canine probiotic. Well, of course, they're not showing they're showing liquid, but they're not showing the refrigerated. The things that are refrigerated are more robust and they're alive. That and
Dogs? Was it specifically for dogs? The one you're
oh
talking
yeah,
about in
it
Rainbow?
might have been for dogs and cats, and it was at Rainbow in
Okay.
their refrigerated section. That's what I remember.
I'll check into
And
that too.
and that would be my go-to because a dog like that you can't you can't fiddle around with Fortiflora, in my opinion, in my humble opinion.
I've taken, like I said, really good care. I didn't even know about internal medicine specialists till Dr. Villard mentioned it to me. Aguelo, nobody, three different vets, nobody mentioned internal medicine specialist. I didn't have a clue. So
It's too bad.
yeah, yeah, very disappointed.
Like, did you
I
have
was
something to say, Artie? Had that I want to
No, I was
talk.
just nodding along.
I think if there are no more questions, I think we're kind of done for this evening. It's been wonderful. I'm so glad Cliff, Cliff's on Big Island right now until the end of June. And I contacted him and he said, I don't think I'll be able to make it. I know that this program is going to grow. The reason this program is important to me and to Wonder Dog is because right now so many people are giving up their dogs. Every day on Facebook where we network, we see puppies and dogs just left out on the street. Last week there was a Frenchie she had been bred. You could tell she'd had babies, and she was on the side of the road with a crate and a bowl of dog food. And this is what people are doing. And you know what? In rescue, people would call all the time. Hi, can you help me? And I'd say, I'm really sorry, we're just a small dog rescue. But now I'm taking time and I talk to them. I talked to a woman today that that needed help for her sister's two dogs, and she can't take them. And she said, we've put them on social media. And so I just took like 10 minutes and talked to her about how we do it, get a video. I said, you want to get, I learned this from Paley back in like 1990. You want to get a photo of the dog looking right at the camera because that dog appears to be making eye contact with you. And that's what people want to see. And I gave her suggestions on a lot of the local groups that are in social media. Like they were, I think they were in Yuba City. But like Sonoma County has like Sonoma County Dog Lovers or Sonoma County Lost and Found, but there's also 707 Animals in Need. You just have to go on and search, and then you're reaching a much larger audience. So at the end of the conversation, she said, I am so glad that I got to talk to you. Thank you so much. And I said, okay, send me an update. And if we can do that because they're euthanizing so much more in the kennels. Dogs, somebody just told me one of the big kennels, like they got 5 days. If the owner doesn't come or they don't get adopted, they're euthanized. It's back to the old school days because they're so full. They're packed with dogs and cats. It's terrible. It's never been this bad. And so I'm thinking if we can give people common sense information, well, he's got sores all over his body. Okay, do you give him flea treatment? And here's one that you can get really cheap. If we can help keep dogs out of the shelter, help keep them in their homes, that's a good thing. And I'm getting older now, and this is why Arati is here. I'm so grateful to you. I just can't do it all myself anymore, and I can't do that much of it anymore. So I'm doing what I can. Thank you so much for coming. And
Thank you so much.
oh, I want to tell you something because I know this is going to grow. Because we're a nonprofit, we have Google Ads, okay? I have to pay someone $400 a month, but for that $400, we get up to $10,000 of free advertising on Google, okay? Yeah, it's a really good thing. So I just had a meeting with her on the phone a few days ago, and I said, okay, so north of San Francisco and south of San Francisco through the Central Valley, like I stopped at Fresno. In those northern and southern outside of the Bay Area, we put in ads that say, do you need help with your dog? Before you take your dog to the shelter, read this. So that if somebody types in, how do I surrender a dog? We're going to pop up as an option. And that's really cool. And then in the Bay Area, I feel like the Bay Area people know a lot more. Like we're more savvy because like Cliff said, the density and everyone talks. But these are people that might need help, but these are people who could also offer help too, because I can't do this all by myself. I'll do as much as I can. But I really envision other people being involved. And when those Google ads start to make traction, then yeah, maybe I'll get to sit in a swimming pool all day saying, well, anyway, anyway, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
you.
Thank you.
Good,
Have a good week.
You
Thank you.
too.
Linda, thanks for
Thank
coming. See you soon, I hope. And I'm going to look into some things for you.
Okay, great.
Thanks,
Thank you so
Arati.
much. Thank
Arati's
you.
Thanks.
got a reading tonight, a poetry reading in
I
San
do.
Francisco.
So I got to run, but thanks so much, y'all.
Okay,
Good luck with
kids.
that.
Thank you.